All right, guys. Today we are going to be reacting to something very interesting here. This a video that has been going viral actually. Marriage is a scam. My own horror story. Let's jump in.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I made it back outside finally. It looks like the temperatures were on the rise for a little bit. We got more cold temperatures coming next week, but I guess that's just the way and the nature of it when you got kind of the polar vortex they're talking about. Today, I wanted to delve into a little bit more personal stuff, sort of a warning for those of you who don't really understand the nature of marriage, especially in the Western world today. And I'm going to delve into my experience and my story quite a bit deeper. For warning, this is a bit of a horror story, and you are going to be reeling from it and probably hiding under your covers by the time I'm done telling you everything, but here goes. As most of you know, there is a huge amount of divorce happening. The rate of divorce is somewhere between 50 and 60%, depending on which numbers you look at. And a lot of people are getting divorced because initially the woman files for divorce 70 to 80% of the time, simply because our society is completely falling apart and it's encouraging people to break up families over literally nothing, go chasing after your dreams, break up everything and ruin your life. Well, I have a personal horror story that will kind of explain a little bit of my motivation even for starting my YouTube channels, and especially this one, and kind of fill you in on my background to a certain degree. I went through a divorce. I was married years ago, had kids when I was young, and I know I've been told I look a little younger than I actually am. I'm in my mid to late 40s. I don't like to give too much identifying information. My name's Steve, and that's where I'm at. To get right into it, I went through a divorce. They ended up, after everything was happening, they ended up giving her alimony. She wanted to file with the court to get alimony. There were several things that were really in the way of it that I attempted to protest. She was living with a man, very likely pregnant with his child at the time, and doing stuff together on bank accounts, and even the following year filing their taxes together, even though she was legally married to me, still going through the divorce.
My God, how is this even possible, guys? I have no idea. How is this even okay with the court, even with our system? You're still in marriage by paper, but you're filing taxes with another guy and another resident. And how is this okay? Our system is completely backwards, man.
As time went on, I eventually got a hold of an attorney who was able to help me with it, but part of the reason why I had to is that when I initially protested all of this, the judge looked right at me and said, well, you can't just come in here and say that you think she's living with this other person and involved in a romantic relationship. You're going to have to provide some kind of evidence and proof, which led me to go through multiple different attorneys until somebody wasn't shaking in their boots and actually would take this on to fight it. To get to that point, we eventually I found a good attorney that was willing to do that. We got a hold of a private investigator, got a hold of the information, but as you know, in the court system, sometimes you can be waiting for 6, 8, 10 months for a court date to get something in front of a judge and get something addressed. After a few years, finally towards the end of the divorce, and after they were likely going to determine that I owed some sort of debt, which unfortunately where I live, debts cannot just be vacated afterwards. So she essentially can potentially get cash and prizes even if caught lying. Now, my attorney warned me that's probably what's going to happen. He said, we're going to get in there, we're going to have the...
And that's such a bad reality, man. That your own attorney, you're paying him to defend you, telling you, bro, this is what's going to happen. You have to accept it. You probably have to accept that reality. Yes.
Private investigators' evidence. We're going to have all this evidence against her. And even when she gets caught lying, they aren't going to do a thing about it. She'll be caught committing perjury and fraud personally against you and having manipulated the court system. And they're not going to do anything about it. They're just going to strip it from here on forward. And I was like, wait a minute. So I'm going to owe a debt, even though she's being forced to admit and proven with evidence that she lied about it all? And he was like, yep. And he goes, you're going to hate the system after that. And I did. How can you? How can you support that level of corruption? So we got in there. Yes, she got convicted of alimony fraud, essentially. They stripped her of any further alimony payments. They weren't able to vacate the old debt because certain, I guess you could say, feminist laws have taken place here where they kind of contradict common sense, that if somebody gets caught committing fraud, they shouldn't be able to benefit or profit from it. But the way that it was structured and set up, there's a division of support enforcement that handles things like everything from child support to other things, and they were the ones that would eventually take on this debt and then come after me to make me pay it. Which means I am paying for somebody to live with another person, have children with them, live a whole life with them, and I can't really do much of anything about it. I might be able to file a personal lawsuit. And this is when the story gets very, very crazy. It gets very, very crazy. My attorney had figured out by looking at the laws and everything that was arranged where I live, and we were preparing to do all of that and also use it on the basis of the grounds that not only did she have children with the guy that we could prove, she had filed taxes jointly together with him, which showed that they were obviously tied together, that her name was on his bank accounts. And on top of all of that...
You can tell. This guy already cried about this many times. He probably cried about this many times, guys. You can say from his mouth here, a little bit of this, and his eyes are tired when he talk about this topic.
They had, they had been living together pretty much the whole time, and she even had to admit to it in court. Well, it gets crazy because he and several other attorneys that have been fighting for cases like this and trying to, as they win each case, it sets a precedent and helps other people. I end up getting a message from somebody one weekend saying, your attorney's missing. And just a friend, a buddy of mine on Facebook, I go and look, and there's this poster that's being shared digitally and shared all across social media saying, yeah, he just went missing this weekend. And, oh yeah, now he's mysteriously dead. I am not even kidding.
Yo, this system is rotten to the core, man. Dude went missing and mysteriously deleted. Somebody pressed the delete button on him. This is crazy stuff, man. This is how you know the system is bad, guys. The system is rotten to the core. My goodness.
This sounds like something out of a, some novel like The Firm or something where lawyers are ending up dead. And two other attorneys over the last year and a half, around that same time, one of which had been fighting similar cases like this, ended up dead from a hit and run that they never figured out who did it. Which, all of that was incredibly disturbing. The attorney at that point, I had known him for years.
Damn.
He was engaged to be married. He had been married before. He was engaged to be married to another woman. And it was never officially determined what the cause of death was. A couple of people whispered about suicide. I had a very, very hard time believing in that. Put me back to a point to where now I'm stuck without any attorney because I can't find anybody willing to actually investigate and fight this. They pretty much shy away from me the minute I tell them who my attorney was and tell them anything about it. And all sorts of strange stuff that's happened with all of that. Just, oh man, I could go into it like records that people can't seem to find about previous court dates and other things like that should be readily available, yet nobody can really locate. So it is pretty much a horror story confirming my ultimate point of this video that, generally speaking, marriage is just a sham. Mm-hmm. Marriage is just completely a racket that ends up raking you completely over the coals, and you need to be very, very careful, tread lightly. In all my court dates and the stuff of dealing with attorneys that I now know way more about than I would ever really want to know, I will tell you that prenuptial agreements get thrown out like crazy.
Easily.
They don't care. They will just toss your prenuptial.
Easily. And isn't that funny, man? And this doesn't make sense. How can you have a system this backwards, man? and you even have prenups already signed up, and the judge will just throw prenups away. Like, how is this? Can somebody in the comment section below explain to me how the system can look at this and say, you know what, this is fair? How? How, guys? This is so wrong.
Nuptial agreement, you'll be stuck owing for all sorts of different bills and things. And if you are really careful with an attorney, you might get out of some of it. But the only real way that you can do that is to watch your own back. Do not trust the system. Do not trust what people are going to tell you. Set it up to where there's no way around it except for the person that if you get involved at all, which I recommend being extremely careful about, especially with most women here, because even if they don't have it in their mind to do that, they go talk to an attorney, and an attorney's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of attorney, they go to weddings, a lot of to couples meeting, women meetings, and they look for leads. There's literally divorce lawyers that go to weddings to destroy marriages for leads, guys. They need leads. They get leads.
Everything's in your favor here, and if you lie, you win cash in prizes, and they won't do a thing to you. They won't charge you with fraud. They won't charge you with perjury. You get away with it. You get to collect money, and so do I. And the attorneys all know this. My attorney, when we went into court and caught her committing fraud and perjury as far as alimony is concerned, he warned me. He said, they're not going to do anything. Now, here's the flip side of that. If the person paying, which is usually the men, some women get caught up in this web too. If the person paying gets caught doing any type of deception at all, they take away your freedom, send you to jail, you're in huge trouble. They come after you 6 ways from Sunday, and they absolutely destroy your life. If it's even suggested or hinted that you might be committing fraud, or maybe even if you've made a mistake, which I don't know hardly any guys that came in there trying to trick the system. They want to pay for their kids and, within reason pay alimony.
Oh, you don't pay for it, you go to jail. You have to pay it.
If that's what's necessary, but it is just absolutely incredible how the laws conflict. It works in the favor of people that commit fraud and perjury, and they get away with it. So, yeah, that's why this video is really entitled Marriage is a Sham, because believe me, it is. Watch your back. Be very careful who you are with. Now, I want to mention something. During the course of all of this, I don't want you to throw women just in general under the bus, because we're each individuals. When you say men do this and women do that,
bro, what are you doing, bro? You just give the stats, man. What are you doing, my guy? You just give the stats. We're not saying all women. We're not saying all women. We understand there's, one or two. They might make the difference. But why are you doing this? Why are you bringing this? For those folks that are in my comment section in my YouTube channel, when you do this, what he's going to do now, your credibility goes to the ground. Because you cannot hold a position, guys. You have to go back to, well, not everybody. We know it's not everybody, guys. We can understand that the majority of the divorce are initiated for women. We're not saying all of them. It's just the majority. 51% is the majority. And inside that 80%, it's between 50 to 60% more likely to commit a divorce if you're in a marriage. And we're not even talking about the separation. That might just go higher. But you don't have to go back to this kind of, I just don't want you to throw all women in the trash. No, we don't need that. We just simply don't need that. This is how you don't get stuff done. He just lost a lot of credibility with that last statement.
That are true. But I have encountered women that went under.
Who's the women? What, like 0.001%, bro? Like, come on, man. You don't have to do this.
Pressure refused to manipulate the system, take their ex to the cleaners, and get a bunch of money that they weren't really.
Bro, I don't want to hear that. See, you lost credibility, man. We don't want to hear that. Yeah, no, I don't want you to throw all women in the bus. We're not doing that. We're very intelligent people. We're not that dumb. You went through a lot of this. Just tell your story. tell your story and recognize that there's a problem, but do not do this. Do not say, well, I don't want you to throw all women in the bus because there's some women. We understand, man. We understand that there are some unicorns out there that they might just, go to the system and they might get destroyed. We understand. But don't do this. You have the story to tell. Don't do this. Don't. I don't want to watch it anymore. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you next one.